What is going on, family? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you are doing well. I'm bringing you another spectacular Casper video and putting some sense into a lot of people right now who are unsure where things are heading with Casper. So smash a like. And first of all, before I even continue with this video, I want to give a massive shout out to DJ and Dev, who is a wonderful guy on Twitter. DJ and Dev, basically the Casper communities is just ridiculously good, right? Like, this guy has obviously put together a brilliant website here to teach people about block DAG, Casper in 3 minutes. So big shout out. If you want to follow him, Twitter handle is DJAdev at DJAdev. So want to talk about block rewards and the up and coming catalyst for Casper. You can see the price still below 3 cents, very close to it now. But what else is going on with Casper in terms of the opportunity? Have the markets bottomed, or is there way more drops to come? And to be honest, first of all, if anybody guarantees you anything in crypto, anything, then you are looking at the wrong person. Nothing is guaranteed in crypto, but let's make some sense into it. First thing we need to look at in terms of price movement is this inverse head and shoulders that we had for Bitcoin. You can clearly see that Bitcoin has been absolutely on a tear. And one of the reasons why Bitcoin has actually formed this bullish inverse head and shoulders that you can clearly see there. And then we had this massive move. And I want to talk about this particular candle that I've circled here and what it means for altcoins, what it means for your bags and everything else. So this candle, I was hoping that at some stage in the normal bear market that we get over this VWAP bull bear market line, this orange line here. My only target was, as long as we had a candle above, a weekly body candle above close or above this orange line, we would technically form a bullish. Of course, we will take that VWAP line and we would continue to pivot into a bull bear market support, and from there build up momentum. What I didn't expect is the volume, the size, and the macro movements that led to this massive weekly closure. We did not only close above this, right? We absolutely tore past this level till we've hit the 100-week moving average, poked our head through it, and you can see here for the swing high, for things to really flip absolutely bullish without any certain of a doubt, there are two things you're looking for. One, this swing high resistance, top resistance for 82,859 has to be taken at some point. However, I am incredibly comfortable with something like this. Price coming back here, testing the previous all-time high from 2021, that's 69,000. or up to 60, even 65,000, and then continue. That would be a healthy move. Now, what that means is you will have a nice little pullback to buy your altcoins. I mean, I'm talking about maybe as much as, if it's on an extreme case, as much as 65, so as much as 18%, maybe 20%, 15, but 10% definitely is on the cards for Bitcoin. If you don't believe that, I mean, even if you go 9-10% here, you're still only pulling back to 73, 74,000. But 69,000, take liquidity and move on. Now, one of the reasons why I'm incredibly bullish is because of what's going on in the bonds market, right? So this move that I was talking about was largely led to was due to the fact that the US is basically opening the checkbooks. Now, there is something called the Fed TGA account, okay? And if I show you the balance here, the TGA account right now sits just under $1 trillion. So they will drain this, and this number here is key. So this is inversely correlated to the price of Bitcoin. Now, so far, we can see this being very, very much elevated. But in previous times when there is a major market movements to the upside, this obviously comes pretty much towards the bottom. So here in 2020, the TGA account was over 1.6, 1.8 trillion. And then they started draining that, using that money for COVID. And you can see here, as this was falling, we were having like September 2020, 2021. As this was falling, Bitcoin and risk assets were moving into all-time highs. So we can see we're still elevated. And the liquidity, even though this news is just literally going off the announcement that the Treasury is going to start buying back, you can see there is no significant drop here, right? And in order to have an explosive altcoin move, or altcoins move for the likes of Casper, Ethereum, and the rest of the layer ones, whatever you're buying, in order for that to move up, we need to see a collapse here. Now, you don't want to wait until obviously they drain this to the bottom and inversely that Bitcoin goes up. But because of the fact that this $1 trillion, this is a real deal, right? The bonds market is in trouble. Japan, we're propping up the Japanese currency, and we're using euros to do that. It's a mess out there, but this all benefits the narrative that Bitcoin is a store of value. So when you're looking at your Casper price, and when you're thinking of Casper being as low as 3 cents or just under 3 cents, just understand when liquidity comes in, it normally finds its way to the good, solid projects. And in my opinion, there's no better project, or one of the best communities, fair launch, all of the attributes that it has as a layer one. And you can see here, so Casper's top 10 addresses hold 25% of the circulating supply. Casper is held by just under 550,000 wallets. Now, these wallets range in balance. So you've got, Entity X here as the biggest Casper holder. Then you have Mexi, Bybit, Gate, Kraken, Uphold. So these are all exchanges, but in particular, Entity X here is ridiculous. 1.5 billion worth of Casper coins. And for me, Entity X could either be an exchange or it could be a fund, an institutional fund. However, you have to remember they've been buying aggressively, and currently they're holding $44 million. It's proven on chain. It's there in front of you. So those of you who lack conviction, you can clearly see what, who's holding what. There's no one bigger than Entity X. Now, interestingly, part of Casper I want to talk about today is the block rewards. Okay, so this idea that Casper becomes deflationary, and you can see here, of course, different mining pools, different results. You're thinking right now, according to Explorer, the mining rewards here is 2.31 KAS. I want to talk about this because I believe this is something that that not a lot of people have education for or understanding all the time to understand. And crypto people throw around these, types of, buzzwords, right? Yeah, deflationary, inflationary, fair launched. I mean, this is why I big up the DGen dev, because Casper tries to teach people, there's so many different resources. Here he says 12 focus lessons and so forth. But what do we mean by deflationary? Okay. And is Casper deflationary right now? In terms of block rewards. And I'm just gonna give you an overview of this, okay? So max supply capped is 28.7 billion. Okay. So this is what you see as the circulating this is what you see, 27.704 billion max supply. Circulating supply, pretty much, it's almost there, right? You'd agree with me. Market cap 800 million, and you've got the price of 0.029. Now, this is quite interesting because if you're looking at circulating supply and max supply, 28.7 billion, and this figure here, I go with this figure from CoinGecko. I think that is probably the correct figure, but there's nothing in there, right? So pre-deflationary phase was anything between November 2021 and May 2022. So that was a long time ago. That lasted about 6 months for Casper. Early period, basically, there were random rewards between 1 to 1,000 Casper. Then it switched to a fixed supply of 500 per second, right? And we'll talk about the blocks per second in a minute. And then, of course, the chromatic deflationary phase that started in May 8th, 2022. Some of you were too young back then. We were buying Casper. And that started at 440 Casper per second. That was a lot at the time. Rewards decreased every month by a factor of 50%, right? So the reduction per month continued, and that process was smooth. Exactly 50% reduction over 12 months, but without any sudden cliffs. And then what happened after that? So that's the history, right? Emissions in Casper are defined per second, right? And not per block. You have to understand that. After Crescendo's upgrade to 10 blocks per second, the per block reward was introduced, okay? So that was divided into 10. So you can't, if you were giving out X amount for one block, now, of course, 10 blocks, you can't multiply that by the 10. So that was adjusted. And then, of course, what do we see? Now we're seeing the circulating supply at 96.3 mined, and the current rewards that I've shown you previously. Again, everything on Casper is verifiable, but the current rewards are 2.3 KAS on the block 2.31 KAS at 10 blocks per second. I hope you understand that, right? Emission rates are 23.12 KAS per second. That's roughly 2 million KAS per day. That's the inflation, right? Next monthly reduction. Now, this is key. This is, of course, going to aid a lot of people now who are thinking, okay, Casper is not moving up above 5 cents from a technical standpoint. Wait, because what happens is that emissions right now will be reduced around the 4th of September. And by July, we already mined 95%. Now we are just over 96%. So you have to understand September's reduction would come in a time when Casper really needs it from a market dynamic point of view. So there should be some kind of a supply shock there. Not crazy, right? But going from 2 million to 1 million per day, that would seem on 10 blocks per second, that would actually be a lot better for price movement. So the miners, obviously, all the inflation is coming from the miners, right? There was no pre-mine, but we know big players are mining Casper. So how does it become deflationary? So technically, Casper is still inflationary today, because new coins are still being issued, right? Simple, supply and demand. But the inflation rate is already very low, and it keeps falling. Hence September the 4th. So key points to remember: fixed hard cap, heavy front-loaded schedule means that vast majority of supply is already out. Remaining issuance is small, and it's steadily shrinking. And as emissions approach zero, net supply growth approaches zero. Long-term holding, of course, lost coins. You've got to remember Bitcoin. You've got millions of Bitcoin that people have either lost or people passed away sadly and can no longer, of course, they don't have access to their wallets from the grave. And the growing fee revenue, especially with a Takosa upgrade, now Casper all of a sudden starts accruing fees. So unlike projects with large unlocks or continuous high inflation, Casper's design, of course, intentionally moves towards a near fixed supply with minimum ongoing dilution. So in short, if you are thinking about these prices today and you're not participating in this, obviously there's nothing I can do. This is not financial advice. I'm not trying to tell you to buy Casper. I'm trying to maybe perhaps educate people who are less patient and seeing why this downtrend, of course, 86%, I believe we're at 85.8% from all-time high. But about 4 years ago, we were making never seen before gains. Of course, we didn't all get this, but you get the point, right? Crypto is crazy. Casper has already had one of the most generational runs from its inception to 2024 top. So now we're going again with all of the benefits of Casper, but this time with smart contracts. So in terms of supply side, Casper front-loaded most of its supply early. Hence, you do not have to worry about too much going forward. 96% mined, fine. The remaining emissions is relatively small and it's declining, hence 4th of September. The network is going towards a low to zero inflation over time, okay? And that will happen over the coming years, hence why some stuff I trade for 5, 10x, some stuff is proof of stake and it's going to have huge unlocks and fall off anyway, so I better sell on a pump. But this one, I'm not really too bothered about holding it for the foreseeable future. And I hope you understand this is relatively rare to have a project that has all of the offerings for a layer 1 in the proof of work category, and it's yet to have a major bull run this time round with smart contracts. This will be the first time Casper goes into a 4-year cycle with its entire package, including the smart contracts, ZK. Hope you like the video. I know it's long, of course, but you really have to understand crypto. Nothing is guaranteed to obviously stay down forever, and no pumps are guaranteed. So you got to be very cautious. Don't make the same mistakes that you were making in the last cycle. Share this video because a lot of people will need this. Like the video, of course, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, guys. God bless.